And welcome to another FAQ Monday. I'm your host, Fluff, and if you have a question, feel free to leave them down below in the comments or going over to my Ask FM account thing, and maybe we'll get you squared away someday. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week, not this year probably, but someday. Let's be optimistic, shall we? First question. When you were a young Fluff, was there any particular song or riff that made you want to start playing guitar? Kind of. I guess you could say so. Yes. At the time, I'm in Seattle. It's like 1992, 1993, going into 1993. And Weird Al Yankovic had a parody of the Nirvana song, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Now, when you're 12 years old, most of your music is going to be filtered through your parents and things like that, or your friends at school. And my mom really loved Weird Al Yankovic's parody of Smells Like Teen Spirit. She thought Kurt Cobain's voice was too yelly because she's a mom, but she liked the music a lot. And my mom was pretty hip on music at the time, and she got Weird Al Yankovic's single called Smells Like Nirvana, and she used to listen to that in the car all the time. And so then I got to wondering, wow, did he write this? Like, I didn't know anything about what Weird Al did. And she said, no, it's a parody of another song by this band Nirvana that's from Seattle. And so I did some chores and I bought Nevermind. Nevermind had been out for about a year and a half at this point. And it was the Nirvana song In Bloom that made me actually want to physically go up and pick a guitar up and start playing it. I'd already transitioned from hip hop and the Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg albums and stuff like that into guitar-oriented music, like the early Green Day stuff, like Green Day's Kerplunk and things like that. But I hadn't really been officially pushed into guitardom like In Bloom did for me. I think that main riff in In Bloom is just so huge at the drum fill, and it was a classic example of when not to play, and I thought I could probably play that, as opposed to the super shreddy stuff. And shredding at that time was the most uncool thing you could possibly do ever. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Nirvana's In Bloom. How long have you had that Ibanez on your wall? I don't think I recognize it. I've never actually used said Ibanez in a video except for, I think, the studio tours, the annual studio tours I do. It's in those videos, and I think that's about it. It's not really playable condition because the electronics are shot, and I think it could use a fret level. But that is a 1988 Ibanez RG140, and they were only made, as far as I'm aware, for 1988. A version of these are in the 87 catalog, but these appear in the 1988 catalog. Then they were never seen again. And what's interesting about mine is it's a dual humbucker, and normally when you do see these guitars, they are a 2 single coil and then a humbucker in the bridge configuration, and there's only one volume pot from the factory. It's a single volume. Most of them you saw a single volume, single tone, like the RG style. It's kind of a transitional guitar as far as I can tell. And that information was given to me when I wrote Ibanez about this guitar, like in, I want to say 1999, when you could actually like email them and go, hey, what about my guitar? I mean, maybe you can still do that today, I don't know. But I'd given them the serial number, and it's a P suffix. Can't remember what factory it came from, maybe Korea, or I'm sure one of you guys will tell me. But they seem to indicate at that time, at least, that it was some kind of a one-off custom order or something like that. A friend of mine found it in a pawn shop in Seattle, Washington. He bought it for $75, and then a month later, I really needed a backup guitar for my Stratocaster, and so I bought it off him for $75, and I've had it ever since. It was my main guitar for quite a while. It sounded really good, and it had a DiMarzio JB in it when I got it, and it was in it for years until I sweated it out and it shorted out and stopped working. I don't know actually what's in there. I haven't even, you know what, I should just take that to the tech. I should take that to my guy, Mark, and just have him fix it up so I have an Ibanez, huh? Ibanez on this channel, weird, but, nostalgia. When buying a piece of gear, do you go for a jack of all trades or a master of one? More and more I'm going towards pieces of gear that actually are good and do dedicated tasks and things. Now, forever, I wanted a guitar that could do Telecaster tone, Stratocaster tone, humbucker, and everything in between. And, you know, for years and years and years, I had my Schecter guitar and my Fender Strat, and I was trying to cover all those bases. And what that amounts to is you don't really get super authentic, you get pretty close. And nowadays, I'm okay with having more gear if that particular piece of gear does that thing really, really well. For example, you know, if I want a 5150 tone, I will grab my PV 5150. I mean, it's that simple, as opposed to trying to get some, you know, it's, you know, an amp that's modeled after a 5150 and kind of is like a 5150, but with a better clean channel. I'm just gonna get the 5150 and I'm okay with that. And that's totally cool. Now in a live situation, gear, you need different gear and your needs are different for live setting. I'm talking about in a controlled studio environment. I'm going with less and less for versatility lately and just getting the dedicated things that I need to get the job done as best as I can. And now, the dad joke of the week. Where does the general put his armies? In his sleeveys. In his sleeveys. My suggestion to you this week is to check out the new album from Alluvial. Now, Alluvial is the brainchild of my dudes Wes Hawk and Keith Marrow, and this is some riffy, brutal goodness at its finest. It's such a great album. I really, really enjoyed it. It's instrumental, it's fast, it's riffy, there's tasty leads, there's a little something for everybody, and I highly recommend you go and check that out right now. All applicable links down below in the description. You have been wonderful. I have been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.